I'm calling this meeting to order at 10:03, Mr. Secretary. So we've done so much work on the 9th that I don't think this meeting is going to take up 2 hours.
I don't think so either.
I did send an email with the agenda out last night and reminding the committee members that we do have these rules. So,
About the rules, if you want to talk about them first.
yeah,
And as I,
let's do rules first.
I'm sorry,
Let's do rules first.
let's do the rules first, okay. As I just passed out the legislation and rules update. If you look down at rules, the first thing, it's right there, yeah, you had it in, yep, right there. And if you look at rules, the first item says postponed item, and we are going to postpone the vote on that. I presented you a draft version of those rules,
Yeah,
Bobcat tracking rules, nuisance bears, and tracking.
that was at December 19th, right?
Yes,
That
I
meeting.
presented them, but then in further discussions, staff has decided they're considering making additional changes. So we want to postpone the vote on that. I'll be sending you out a revised draft
Okay,
in the next couple of weeks, and then maybe we can vote on it in the February meeting.
okay. So no rules at all today?
I'm sorry?
No rules at all today?
No
To
rules
discuss.
to vote on. I try to schedule the rules, so I'm not doing a bunch of rules at the beginning of the legislative session.
I'm sure Joe Carr appreciates it.
I'm sure.
It's backed up. Okay, so move on to legislation, what we've got open, that we haven't positioned yet.
Yeah, just the two bills. We'll talk about those. They're in the packet I passed out. So there's the legislative update, then there's the tracking list, and then there's the two bills, Senate Bill 389 and House Bill 1703. Those are the only two that need a vote by the full commission. Is
I'm
that,
sorry, could you repeat those again?
yes, Senate Bill 389 and House Bill 1703. And actually, the committee has already made the recommendation on those.
And we did have this 1024 amendment come in.
Yes, I got that, but that needs to be discussed because we had already positioned
Yes.
that.
Okay, so,
Marty, what about House Bill 1077? Did the committee make position change last committee meeting?
So 1077.
Carbines?
we decided to take no position at the
Exactly.
9th meeting.
Yes.
Change our position because,
Yeah, the commission had taken an opposed position,
And
and
then,
then the subcommittee looked at it again with new recommendations from staff, and the subcommittee is suggesting no position.
no position.
that's right.
So I would think you'd have to take that to the full commission to make that.
Yeah, that's on my
Oh,
list
okay.
for the full commission today. There were actually two bills.
That you wanted to go to no position.
Did you, excuse me, did you distribute the minutes?
1077.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
Here, I'll come get them.
Let's do a do-over, because I'm looking for my notes. Thank you.
You have one for yourself?
Yeah, I have one for myself, marked out.
Minutes? Minutes? Nope, I ran out.
So, to Scott's question,
Do you have
there
any
were
more?
two House bills. Oh, you gave one to Scott, I forgot Scott, I'm sorry.
I'll take one from Ray.
Two House bills, 1116 and 1424. Those we changed from, we changed to no position, opposition to no position. So those were two pistol cartridge bills. And the carbine bill was 1077 that Scott just asked about.
Oh, yeah, no, right.
Yeah, and there's no definition of a carbine, and we already continued to oppose it. We didn't take another vote, we were opposing that,
Right.
continuing to oppose it.
Right, that's, I'm sorry, I get those confused because there were three of them all about using weapons for hunting.
All right, wait a minute, you're saying on House Bill 1077 and 1116, you're looking to change the
No.
position on them?
1116 and
No, not
1424.
not 1077, we're maintaining opposed on 1077.
All right, so 1077, we're
No,
Nothing's
staying with
changed.
the commission of opposed.
Yeah.
What do you want to do on 1116?
1116 and 1424 have to do with changing acceptable pistol cartridges for taking deer in certain towns. And because they are specific to towns, they would essentially outlaw use in the towns not listed. And so, on advice of staff, we voted the last meeting to change from opposition to no position. So that we will have to revote.
No, my understanding is the commission opposed that.
They did.
We did, but
Originally.
staff came in on the 9th and explained what I just read. And so we voted to go to no position.
You were there.
No, that's why I'm trying.
It's turned into an anti-hunt, it's turned into
So,
a gun owner's
A,
rights bill.
a Second Amendment bill.
Because it's gonna state towns that they can't be used, so we just decided to stay out of it. We don't wanna get cut.
But it's saying for the taking of game, which, yeah, that's a gray area of us approaching. Is the bill mentioning certain game?
The bill's mentioning certain towns.
It's about restricting firearms, pistols in certain towns. It would have the effect of restricting in some towns while allowing in another.
But on 1116, it's saying the bill allows for the use of rifles and certain pistols for the taking of game. I'm aware we don't take gun bills unless it pertains to the taking of wildlife, which would be game. Is the bill saying game?
Well, that's the top, yes, it says game in, because in the statute that they're revising, it refers to taking game.
The colonel looks like he has some input.
So the reason that we changed positions on that was because I brought it to Lilith's attention that we do not restrict anything above a 22 statewide. So for these towns, we were going to oppose this change in shotgun-only towns because we didn't feel 38 was powerful enough. But that would only restrict the 38 in those particular towns. 90% of the state it would be legal. So we decided to take no position and let it go through because we don't restrict it anywhere else. So it didn't make sense to do it there.
My concern is being from Hillsborough County, we're in very populated areas.
Right?
That is the whole reason why down, especially in my part of the state, why a lot of the towns have gone to shotgun only.
Yeah.
Safety issue was the main reason of it,
Sure.
because we're more populated than in other parts of the state. And that's my concern on this.
That's been our
That,
concern
You
too.
know, you're talking the southern part of the state that is shotgun only,
Right.
and now you've got a bill that allows for the use of rifles and certain pistols for the taking of game. You're well familiar with what we got from the AG on what we can, as far as firearms are. We can only handle firearms if it pertains to the wildlife. And if you're saying game,
Right.
that's wildlife.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to sit back and take a no position on this one, for my county.
Yeah.
So I'm opposed, I will be voting to oppose that.
I understand. Yeah.
Do you, I'm not, I'll call the vote in a minute, but just to clarify, in the main commission meeting, I believe that if you want to express that in the main commission meeting, he should be allowed before the commission votes. How do you feel about that?
What's your question?
Well, he's going to oppose this. He said he's.
I probably am too, that's what.
Okay, but should Ray have an opportunity to
The commission's
state his
already
position
opposed.
to the commission?
Yeah, your committee can take it to the position and ask for a vote. Commission can overrule you.
If this committee were to go to the commission and say, hey, we want to change our position now to no position, then you're gonna have discussion, and then that's where I'm gonna
Okay.
come in, and I'm gonna say,
That's what I really want to know. Do
Yeah.
you intend to discuss?
absolutely,
Because you know how we get going sometimes, and
absolutely.
My question, Madam Chair, I got the law enforcement. These are shotgun towns only we're talking about, right?
I presume so. I
Yes.
didn't do a comparison.
Yes.
There's a reason they're shotgun towns,
That's correct,
Right.
because they don't want rifles and stuff there.
that's correct.
And now we're sitting there saying it's okay to have rifles there?
Well, the argument last year when we started this ball rolling, the legislature, was that these cartridges mirror the velocity in foot-pounds that the shotgun does. So therefore, they're not doing any harm. We didn't weigh into that argument because the towns put those laws in. We didn't want to take a position, I don't think, from what I could see from years ago, on whether that was a good idea or not. We tried to stay out of them this time. The only reason we asked you to wade into them this time was we felt that 38 caliber was too light for deer, but we don't restrict it anywhere else in the state. So it would look pretty bad if we went in and said, well, we don't want it, we don't want it there, but you can do it up in Colbert. So we decided, we thought it would be better to take no position on it and let the municipalities deal with it, basically.
I mean, I agree with the colonel. 38 is just one notch up from 22, and that's not going to be lethal on a deer.
Those 38 caliber is actually a wounded caliber.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't a killing.
That's my
Right.
point.
But
Right. I'm with you, I'm concerned, I don't want New Hampshire Fish and Game to go over there and say, yeah, I think we ought to undo this, and I've told the sponsor of this bill this a number of times. I don't think it's I don't think we have a right to go in and tell a town it's safe to discharge a 30-06 here in Concord. I think that's crazy. Concord ought to weigh in on that, and I've been waiting for that, but they haven't done it yet. I don't think municipalities know they're doing this.
but if this goes through, that'll be next.
Yes, it will. They're slowly getting there. They're moving in that direction each year, each session. I would agree with that.
Do you think that's what they're moving towards, Kevin, or are they following what's going on out in the Midwest, where they've done these straight wall cartridges?
Well, I think that's their first step, but I think their goal is to undo it, is to do away with shotgun-only towns. And you know, they have some reasonable arguments, because in Concord, I can't shoot a deer with a 30-06, but I can go out right now and shoot a coyote with it. I can shoot a bear with it. There's no restrictions on that. That's their argument. That's kind of hard to argue. They can do that. They never addressed that with the rest of the species. We get those calls all the time. They just took it out for deer. So, but that, again, to me, that's a municipality issue, a town issue. That's not New Hampshire Fish and Game. The only time that I think, and it's just me, the only time I think we should weigh in on it is if it's something that's going to do harm to the resource, then we should have an opinion. But I don't think it's our position to take an opinion on what's safe in Concord or not. I think Concord should do that.
How do you feel about that, Ray, your position after listening to the colonel?
The bill says the taking of game.
It does, yeah.
I'm standing with what the commission said in the beginning, opposing it.
Just to be clear, I don't think Dan.
And I'm not, and you know, I don't wanna sit here and argue it for 20 minutes either.
No.
When you take the thing of the round
Right.
factor of it, okay, I would feel safer right now. The majority of my area is shotgun only, okay? They're out there hunting with a shotgun. A shotgun can only go so far. That was the intent of that whole change it to a shotgun area, because we're so compacted. Now you start getting somebody in there with a rifle shooting a 38 around, It's that distance thing that caused all this in the beginning.
I don't think Dan, I can't speak for him, I don't think Dan has any more concern about it than I do, other than either opposing it or taking no position. We don't support it for many of the same reasons. So, and I don't think he just felt, and I agree with him, that we need to be careful if we're gonna go in and oppose it, because the question could come from somebody sharp, well, you allow 38s in every other part of the
If
state.
this were to say, for an example, breaking the state in half,
Yeah,
up here, you can do it, but down here, you can't do it,
yeah,
yeah, then I'd say, yes, that's reasonable.
yeah. No, I'm not arguing with you.
But, you know, I'm representing, I think the last time I looked, 43% of the population of the state,
Right,
not land, population.
right.
I'm, just in my own town in Milford, Eric, I've got an area, and I'm sure, Kevin, you can back me on this. I can go on this side of the street, hunt with a shotgun, and I can go on that side of the street and shoot with a rifle.
That-
The Lord forbid I come up to this intersection and shoot with anything. You know, when you take that whole Milford Brookline, especially Brookline, because now we're at the Mass border. We deal with Massachusetts there. But you take Milford, Mount Vernon, Amherst. We're in that section, you go from there to shotgun only to out here at the front door, use what you want. And it's hard, I know the COs, it drives them nuts.
Yeah, it does.
But it's due to the population of houses, buildings, and
Madam Chair, can I ask Colonel one question?
Sure.
Colonel, how did these towns become shotgun towns?
You know, I don't,
You said they went to the legislature themselves.
yeah, I could
Did they
never.
do it individually, or did they pass a law that says if you have a compact area of such and such, you will be a shotgun town?
I think originally they started in it was a number of years ago, I went to the archives on it, and they started originally as individual communities based on hunting accidents from long ago when we had a few. And so and back before muzzleloaders had the technology they have today, and handgun cartridges were, you know, if you think about it. So to answer your question, I think they did it as communities first. New Hampshire Fish and Game played no role that I can see in any of that. And it makes sense that they wouldn't, because you don't want to be on record saying, no, I think it's safe,
Right.
and then have somebody get hurt. I will say this, and it's my own opinion, it needs to be reviewed today, because they're hunting with muzzleloaders here. And those are as good, as deadly as any rifle that's on the market today, in the distances they're shooting. So if they're looking to solve a safety issue, we're way beyond that.
Now, muzzleloaders allowed in these towns?
They are.
They are.
You can hunt in a shotgun-only town, you can use a muzzleloader or a shotgun. Oh,
And
yeah.
you can magnum load the
Yeah.
newer ones
Oh.
with 3 pellets.
You could
And
outshoot,
you'll
and
go
that's
out.
the argument that the legislators use, you could outshoot with a muzzleloader,
and what this
most
bill
rifles.
could cause. If that bill were to go through, you're gonna see towns know nothing.
Right, that's a concern too, right?
2 years ago, Kevin, myself and Bill dealt with Merrimack.
Right, wanting to shut it down.
That was a real close,
Yeah.
close call. This bill will make it so, at least in the southern part of the state, you're gonna see towns close down.
I can't believe the towns haven't jumped on this. I can't believe that the municipalities, the municipal association hasn't been all over this. They did it last year, they're doing it again this year, they're slowly chipping away at this, and they're not getting involved, which is a bit,
Well, they might be.
they're not. I've been at the hearings, they don't show up at the hearings, they
Oh,
don't
okay.
testify.
It's probably tied up a lot with
The hearing is.
land.
Yeah. I don't think, again, Dan, I don't have a problem either way. Our concern was,
Yeah, 1 second.
I don't think it's our job to say it's safe, you go ahead and do it. I would agree with you guys, but his concern, and I share that, would be to go in and say, well, we oppose it because of 38s, when we allow 38s everywhere else. So we'd have to come up with something different, but we'll do whatever you want, you know. I'm not in disagreement with any of it. I do think, not by these people, but it needs to be revisited by people, to look at it really hard on what we're allowing in these towns, because we're allowing rifles for bear, we're allowing rifles for deer, for coyotes, we're allowing muzzle loaders for deer, which are just today as deadly as any rifle I know of. You know, my 50 caliber muzzle loader is just as accurate and deadly as a 30 caliber lever action today at those same
And
distances.
I agree with you on that, Kevin. I'm just giving my stand.
No, and I'm good with you. I don't have a problem with
For my town.
it. Yeah.
But it needs
I think we would have to oppose it for a different reason.
17.
I just wouldn't go in and say
Well,
38's too
I just
light.
understood.
because
We voted 2 years ago that if we're in favor or opposing,
Committee.
Right,
we're giving the reason why we're opposing.
right.
Well, the commissioners opposed it, give the reason.
Yeah,
Well, but the reason you're now articulating is not the reason the commission articulated.
Oh, because it's being brought up again.
right.
Right, we brought it back to you
Right.
because they want to make a change. So if the commission wants to change the reason, what Kevin's saying is that changes the testimony we have to give.
Sure,
So we would like that in the record,
yeah.
so.
I'm comfortable either way. I don't disagree with what you guys are saying.
Well, at least everybody knows where I stand when you get up to the commission.
Right.
I'm being upfront about this.
That's okay, that's why we're here. Do you feel comfortable with me calling the vote?
Do we need to vote?
I don't think
Yes, we do. If-
No,
No.
We voted
No,
last
wait a
time.
minute.
If
No.
you're gonna change
All
the
right.
stance, you need a vote
Right.
to bring it to the commission.
That's
We,
right.
we
Well,
did
we did
that on
that
the 9th.
last month,
We did that on the
or
9th.
the 9th, yeah.
So I do have to bring it to the full commission, and we'll make sure you speak.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
Oh, I will speak.
All right.
I can give you copies of that too.
Thank you. Well, should it be both the bills? Yeah. So 1116 and House Bill 1424 will need copies of those. So we have this 1024, House Bill 1024, Marty, did you get a copy? Erin?
Yep.
So this is the air rifle issue. I actually went on 6 Hours website. I am very concerned that the muzzle velocity is only 450 feet per second. That, I know it's a smaller caliber, but that's a low muzzle velocity, and it was low for the larger calibers too, the .55.
Well, and the amendment is attached to that, so therefore,
Yeah, so this is the amendment, and Colonel, I think you had some conversations with Representative Spillane, as I did.
Yeah. Yeah, he told me, although I don't see it in here, he told me that they were gonna recommend sending this to interim study so that we could go down and see demonstrations at SIG so that we're comfortable with the caliber change for big game. And he also, in trying to respond to our concerns about Pittman-Roberts, because if we allow air rifles, Pittman-Roberts funds don't come to the department like they do now for ammunition and firearms. So he threw a line in this amendment that said such rules shall include a license purchase similar to that of a muzzleloader license so that Fish and Game could collect that money. You'd have a special permit that you'd need to get for an air rifle. And then he told me he was gonna send it all to interim study. I don't see anywhere in this bill where it says he would do that. You know, he can make a recommendation of that, but I'd feel better if it actually said it, if the bill said that and describes the committee like a lot of them do. I'm not real comfortable going in there saying, yeah, I'm in support of this and hope that he does the right thing.
That license purchase thing too might kick it over to Ways and Means.
It will.
Yeah, so that would give you a second committee hearing, they would have to
And it'd be a fees thing.
fees things.
yeah, we'll probably
We
get a
go into
request
it.
for a fiscal note worksheet.
Yeah, we'd go into another whole series of steps for that, I think.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say no, but maybe the Colonel, you and I could talk to him, because he did mention interim study to me.
Yeah.
and it's not in the amendment.
No.
But I was very nervous when I went to the actual manufacturer's website and saw that low muzzle velocity.
We still discussing?
Yep, I'm waiting for you.
I'm opposed. What are you waiting for me?
I'm looking at you.
I'm definitely opposed against it.
Oh, that's the current position.
That's the current position. We were asked to weigh in on the
I'm
amendment.
going with what's in front of me in black.
Yeah,
I'm opposed to having an air rifle being used hunted like that, especially live again.
yep. So this is unapproved, so we don't have to take a vote on it. So we will remain opposed.
Last month, I brought
Yeah.
you an unapproved one and it didn't even get brought up, so.
Thank you.
The
for
one from
reminding
Reed.
me.
Remember the one I showed you from Reed?
Yes, that's right. So we really, I don't like voting on unapproved.
Nope.
So what will be our next one we need to discuss? Is that it? Wow. I had the room for 2 hours.
We did so much work and.
Well, there was, yeah, we did 19th, we went 2.5 hours, and then we were in here for an hour and a half last
She
week.
said I got room for 2 hours. That's
And
the
we did a
reason
lot
I'm
in
impressed.
December.
Yeah.
Position.
Yeah.
Because the bills came out, almost all of them had come out by the commission meeting.
Yeah. Oh, I recognize AJ, who wants to know about the dog bill with the intentional breeding language. So last week, we decided we would not take a position on that because it really wasn't specific to Fish and Game. I stated that I would monitor that because I am, like you, very concerned about intentional breeding. And this is a toehold to limit intentional breeding in the state of New Hampshire, which would get into sporting dogs, potentially. So that's where we're at with that.
So what are you doing? You're not,
We're not taking a
She was just,
position.
and I.
He just
asked
wanted
her,
to know.
yeah.
what our action was, but I will continue to monitor this
well,
because,
my whole question, which, as some of you know, I got spanked about it. What does it have to do with Fish and Game?
well, yeah,
It doesn't.
in the long term, it may or may not.
My concern
And
is
that's
that
why
one
we didn't-
sentence could make it about hunting dogs, which is then about Fish and Game.
So I will keep an eye on it out of personal interest. You know, I did mention last meeting, Ray, that a few years back, there was a referendum in Massachusetts to outlaw all dog breeding in the whole Commonwealth. They managed to get 50,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. It failed miserably, but they did get 50,000 signatures to restrict intentional breeding. So that's the concern. But you're right. That specific bill does not concern Fish and Game. Any
And
other?
that was my whole thing on it, was, I mean, you both know, I've had hunting dogs. It's not my personal opinion. It doesn't have anything to do with Fish and Game. It's just-
Anybody, anything else?
Could I just ask, because we write so many notes, when you say that a bill is exact, can you remind me,
I'm sorry.
when a bill comes out of committee, it's been exact?
Exact.
Oh, when I say a bill has come out of committee, that's what
Or
I
it's
mean.
exact in committee? What does that mean?
It's exec by the committee.
Voted on.
Vote, yeah, they vote on a recommendation to take to the full chamber.
Okay,
So
And-
when a committee can vote on a recommendation of either ought to pass with amendment, interim study, or ITL. The committee will take the executive vote that recommendation and send it to the floor with that recommendation.
Okay,
And then
so,
the floor, the full chamber votes on the committee's recommendation.
so the ought to pass consent, I'm looking at the deer seal. Ought to pass consent means they all agreed to pass it through. And then it's been exactly and voted.
All the committee
Yeah, it
has
says-
gone to the floor.
Let's go to the floor.
Yeah, it says 5-0, that 5-0, that's the vote.
Okay.
And nothing ever dies in the New Hampshire Senate or House. Everything gets a vote on the floor, unlike other states and our federal government. So everybody gets an opportunity to vote on every bill. And you can actually pull things off consent and go for a floor vote. And so, but nothing ever dies in committee. So. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Paul, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
10:34.
Unless they can't beat this post.